Welcome to the Necronama.com, where we're spending all of October looking at 31 episodes of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Today, we're looking at Treehouse 30 from October 20th, 2019. I am James Sabata.
I'm Don Guillory.
And I'm Thomas Brungardt.
I gotta tell you guys, when I was scrolling through Disney Plus and I was nearing the end of the episodes, and I looked and there was no season 31, I freaked out and I was like, oh my god, how did I plan on doing this? And it never occurred to me to look if they were all available, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to watch episode 30. And I was literally like looking it up on YouTube to see if I could find it there. And then Thomas was like, hey, moron, it's over here on Hulu.
It's probably on demand from like whatever your cable provider is too. I think Fox retains the rights for a year, so Disney won't get it until next month, maybe.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's on Hulu for those of you who haven't been able to find it. So you too can celebrate Magagi's birthday.
Woohoo! I really enjoyed this.
Finally got one. Oh, this episode was great. I thought it was the best full episode in a while that we've seen.
I would literally, I'll edit that out. I would literally put this like up there with the early ones that I love from my childhood. Like, I thought it was that good. And I don't know if it's that the others have been... There's been some good skits, but there hasn't been a solid episode since those early ones. And I would put it on that level.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's... For me, this felt like a full episode. And I know, I think in one of the previous episodes... I think the Cora Lisa one or something. Lisa makes a remark about, "Oh, this is a middle act. It's probably this is too good so far for a middle act." And I don't see a problem with. You could have taken any one of these episodes and you could have switched them around. Anyone could have been the lead. Anyone could have been the closer. Any one of them could have been the middle episode because they all do well. And they started off well with that opening.
But with that said, I do think they are in the perfect order as well. But I do agree with you, yes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, hit the opening. Because this opening was...
The opening actually fooled me because they went right into it. I'm thinking like, oh shit, there's not going to be a cold open, because it kept going and they did a parody of The Omen where... Marge is giving birth. Homer's expecting a girl. Boy comes out, and Homer says, "Oh no, not another boy and Bart." And his hopes are completely dashed. And there's another baby there, a girl. Where I think Dr. Hibbert says something like, "Oh, there's this girl here. The mother's dead." 1,000 lunatics or 10,000 lunatics or something like that. And he immediately takes her in. But you see how this starts to descend into an Omen parody. And in all honesty, I thought this was going there as far as like, we're not even going to do a cold open. This is the show. And it goes into demonstrating that this is episode 666. A perfect time. For this show to go on this long is one thing. But to have their Halloween episode as the 666th episode, or 667, depending on when Fox releases it, 666th episode. It was great to tie in all these things, and I think for them, the producers, the writers, the actors themselves, all knew what was at stake because of you can't give a shitty episode or a really bad episode for the 30th one that you're doing. Or if this is, like it is, episode 666, you got to do something special. You got to do something good.
Yeah, I agree. My one complaint with this is that I wish that this had been in the episode where Exorcist is, because I feel like this was a better telling of Maggie being possessed. And I would have actually liked to see more of this one, and I would have liked to see that one highly chopped, so I would love to switch the two. With that said, I fucking love it when he says the mark of the beast and then shows us the
Yes.
Mickey Mouse Disney logo.
So do you think they're going to cut
no,
that out?
not that one.
Are they going to cut that out when this gets put on Disney Plus?
No, they can't. I mean, they poke fun at Fox. They poke fun at Disney. In fact, if you go back and watch some of the older episodes that are on Disney Plus, they make fun of Disney.
Oh, like when
a lot.
Bart says, like, I'm the face of an evil corporation, and he's pretending to be Mickey Mouse, like that. Yeah, that's fair.
If they do cut it, I'm going to tweet them nonstop making fun of them.
I mean, I think Disney itself can have fun with that aspect of. I mean, not to the point where, like, you know, South Park went like all out when making fun of Disney and Mickey Mouse and things like that. But I mean, I see them as understanding satire. You know, I don't see it as Disney itself is going to come in and say, "You can't fucking make fun of us," because I mean, they poke fun at themselves with other movies too. So. Or other products, not necessarily movies, but they poke fun at themselves.
All right, who's got the first one?
Oh, I do. It's called Danger Things, and I don't know what it's a parody of.
There's no telling.
It's so hard to tell.
It seems to be a parody of random 80s references.
Yeah, it's like they took every trope from every 80s coming of age movie and they put it into one thing. So it's a spoof of Stranger Things, obviously. It starts off, the boys are playing video games, and I love this joke because they're playing the E.T. game, which is widely considered the worst video game of all time. And you can see why, because they're just stuck in a pit, and then it's over. But it just turns into this thing with a lot of Stranger Things references, and I know James hasn't seen it, so I'm sure it wasn't too hard for him to figure out what was going on.
It was so confusing. There were like flower people, and no, I'm kidding.
Demogorgons.
So really fast. I just want to say I'm just waiting for it to end so I can binge it. So that's it. Go ahead.
Well, scoops ahoy to you.
I go to enough cons that already annoys me.
Well, that's fine. There's no cons anymore, James. It's over.
There's always a con. Just ask the president.
God damn it. Millhouse gets taken by like a demigorgon to their version of the Upside Down, which is called the Over-Under. And it's like its own little community down there where Mo is still Mo, and people who have gotten taken there are living there peacefully. And so the Simpsons end up moving down there, and there's a demigorgon that looks like Flanders. I really enjoyed it. Having seen Stranger Things, it helps, but even if you haven't seen it, it's still a pretty enjoyable sketch.
I just like that Homer's excited that there's no Ned Flanders, and then ha ha ha.
He's still got his blowtorch, but what I like, I mean, even though you don't need to watch Stranger Things to get this one, or at least, you know, I say it would be good to at least watch the first season to understand this one, because they make fun of kind of the overly nostalgic lean that the show has, but also the plot where it's like, oh, you know, I'm especially when Homer is down in the over under with his blowtorch. It's like, oh, I'm doing my job. It's like, what? It's like, oh, you know, I'm working. You know, Mr. Burns, you know, he ended up unleashing this portal opening this portal that unleashes demons. I'm like, how'd that happen? It's like, well, he started this project to open up a portal to unleash demons. And when you watch this show, you're like, that's what they fucking did. They were trying to see what was over there and then try and do something with these demons. And then 11 is supposed to be able to fight them or control them or whatever it is. You're like, they intentionally opened this to find demons and then they get upset at the fact that they've released all these demons into the world. Like, come on, pick a lane there, buddy.
I don't know. That seems pretty true to life.
Well,
it seems pretty true to life. I mean, I know a lot of people that, go ghost hunting or try to contact things through boards or other occult ways. And isn't that what we're doing? We're looking for it. But if it happened, our first response would be, shit, we got to close the doors now. And so, I mean, that's pretty true to life, really. The one thing I will say about what you said, I feel like this was so heavy with the 80s references that it pulled me out of the story. And I know that that's been a complaint about the show, that there's so much 80s that it doesn't feel like the 80s because it's too overboard.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, man, if it's really like this, that would suck. But hopefully this was purposely worse.
Well, there's moments when you watch the show where you're like, oh, I get that reference and it's cool and I like that. But then there's moments where it's like really forced down your throat and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, I know what you're going for and it's just too forced at this point. And that's the struggle I have with the show, is that season 1's great and you get into season 2 and you're like, this is terrible. And then if you can make it to, I think there was a joke in this sketch where they're like, oh, somebody hasn't gotten to season 3 yet. And once you get to season 3, if you can make it through season 2, you're like, this is better, but you're still dealing with all of those tropes and all of those references that just feel so sluggish and lazy. Because there are times where it feels like you're just copying every movie that's already been made. So
that and what I wrote, or at least the question I wrote while I was watching this one, is, why do nostalgic shows work? And not necessarily work from a plot standpoint or storytelling standpoint, but at least get our interest. Maybe not our love, but at least our interest to where I'm going to watch this. Because even when it was with respect to Stranger Things, it lulled me into that same 1980s thought of like, oh man, I remember when we used to have this shit and these games and these bikes. Oh, you could do this, you could do that. And then you think deeper about the 1980s, and you're like, no, the fucking 80s sucked. I mean, the music was good. We had some cool movies, but the 80s sucked. Or as John Cusack said it in Hot Tub Time Machine, it's the 1980s. We had Reagan and AIDS. Let's get the fuck out of here.
But did Reagan have AIDS?
Yes. He had staffers, aides, assistants. Yes.
Okay, good. You guys got anything more on this one?
Oh no, that was all I had on that one. It's just the idea of the nostalgia behind this, and I liked it.
I would have liked to see a over under. What are the odds?
And if they did that, you would have complained.
I would have absolutely complained. That's why I wanted to see it. I don't have enough to complain about. That's what I'm saying. All right, so Heaven swipes right on J-Date, Farmers Only. All right, so Homer dies. It's before his time. So he gets to come back to Earth in different bodies. And then he has to convince Marge that it's him. And then sometimes she likes his new body and sometimes she doesn't. And sometimes he does stupid shit and dies again. And that's really it. This one, it's very lacking to me. Like, this feels like an opening segment to me. I still enjoyed it. Like I said, I like everything in this one, but I definitely feel this is the middle segment because it's not that great comparatively. The best part to me was some of the different bodies, but I would have liked to see more specific to them. Like Super Nintendo Chalmers. He had a couple things that were more to him, but like Homer's Mr. Teeny. Like, I would like to see a lot more with that to like get some more context of what's happening here.
Riding a tricycle.
Or like Marge being annoyed that he's smoking or something, like, I don't know. And then, I enjoyed Marge. That would have been great. Yeah. I enjoyed that Marge was like, well, hang on, let's try out this body or whatever, like that was a nice touch. Just overall, like, the only thing that really I thought was very, very strange was the rules in heaven are always changing, apparently, because, sometimes he has to do a good deed. Now, this time he gets free bodies. I mean, what's happening here?
Well, God sold out to Google.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
I wish that he would have chosen
the devil's
to be
running things.
I wish he would have been Gritty. Gritty was one of the options.
That'd have been great. Could have been Artie Ziff, and then Marge could have married him again. No, but overall, I like it. It's definitely the throwaway out of the three.
Okay. Well, you've got a lot of stuff going on with this. I mean, again, it's the parody of Heaven Can Wait. You've also got some Quantum Leap vibes from it, as far as the way that he can go into the bodies, and the whole idea that he's looking into the mirror and he sees what everybody else sees, which is that body. But once you see that it's him, you always see him as Homer, which is a cool touch, that it's not this other person with Homer's voice. But I kept thinking about it. If you had this choice, if you had this option, who would you choose to be or to come back as, and how would you get your significant other, your partner, to understand that it's you?
What if I don't want her to understand? What if I want to confuse her?
Then I want to be her. Ooh.
I'd come back to you, buddy.
Ooh.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my choices would be, so it's hard. If I had to convince my wife that I was me, though, I would just make jokes that only I make, and she'd be like, "Oh, it's you again."
Yeah, I would do the same thing. I think that's the best way. Just the weird shit you say at home that nobody else hears.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I did love the flippancy of Homer choosing bodies, because at the end he was just like, sold, he's dead, and then he's just killing people to get their bodies. I thought that was really funny. I think just the choosing of the body would be the fun part. I don't really care. I don't have to look at myself. So,
what about you, Don? Do you have somebody specific?
No one specific. I mean, it really would come down to what the options are. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but I think the way that I would be able to get my wife to, or at least even my daughter to know it's me is probably the same thing. The jokey bullshit that I do that with them that I don't do with anybody else. And I'm not going to say it here because I don't want anybody impersonating me and going up to my wife and my child.
There you go. So I purposely left off the end of the summary because this is my favorite part of the episode. Homer ends up taking Moe's body, and then somehow Moe gets to take Maggie's body. And then Moe wants to be breastfed. And I feel like that's a lot of work for this joke, because according to the rules, originally Moe would have had to be about to die, which means Maggie would have to be about to die for Moe to take her body. And I want to know what the hell is going on in Springfield that all these people are dying like this. But no, I like that it's all just a weird joke to set up Moe saying that he wants Midge's boobs.
Or maybe Willie killed Maggie again.
Damn it, Willie.
Okay, and that takes us to a parody of a film that I will defend no matter what.
This is going to be fun because you love it. Thomas hates it. I've never seen it.
That's okay.
James, have you ever spent 2 hours on the toilet taking a shit, and then
Jesus Christ.
And then you stand up and you just kind of look at it just to see what you've done? That's the shape of water.
Well, it's the water.
The 2-hour piece of shit you're never going to get back.
I'm just going to put myself on mute and enjoy this one. All right,
all right. So anyway, I appreciate your insight, Thomas. I disagree. That is your opinion. However, I happen to like the film for many different reasons. So anyway, the final act of this episode, and probably ever of this show, uh, between me and Thomas, is When Harry Met Slimy. It's a parody of The Shape of Water, Oscar-winning film from director, writer, producer Guillermo del Toro. It basically features Selma falling in love with Kang in the same way that the two main characters fall in love with each other. They even make fun of The Shape of Water with the creature being in the same tank of water that Kang is in, and he emerges and they cook him. But anyway, they fall in love. Selma's going to run off with him, or at least leave with him. She's shot and killed because the soldiers and the police that are chasing after him shoot at them because they don't want him to escape. He uses, of all things, the Infinity Gauntlet to get rid of them. Heals her with one of his tentacles, and then reveals that he's pregnant, or it's pregnant, because there are 32 genders and gender identities that they can assume. So Patty ends up showing up and falls in love with Kodos, and the four of them all go off together and spend their honeymoon traveling to a place that doesn't seem to be that enjoyable. I thought it was a cool ending to the show because it's a nice humorous parody of the film, but it also incorporates this idea of, Patty and Selma just can't be separated, which they've gone to a few times. They just don't like being apart from each other. When Selma gets married, Patty just doesn't like the idea that she's going to be gone. And they're twins. They've always been together. Aside from Thomas, James, what did you think of this episode? This part of the episode?
Oh, what? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Wait,
hold on.
I missed one thing I did want to include.
Oh, you're really killing my joke, damn it.
I have to do this because if not, I'm going to forget about it. There was this one joke I found hilarious because, well, I'm sorry, two jokes I found hilarious. One, it's when they go to the tank or whatever, and Selma is saying like, oh, people just think that you want to eat me or you want to use me for a green card. And I immediately thought, these fuckers need to go ahead and do a parody of 90 Day Fiancé, like now, while people are still watching it. And then when Kodos arrives, he makes this comment about, I was on the other Earth where the South won. Far fewer Confederate monuments there.
I really thought you were going to go with Jabba the Butt and Wookie Nucky.
No.
Oh, God.
And what was the other one? An R2D2 three-way or C3PO way or some shit like that?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
There were a lot of gender identities that they were going with.
No, that's actually my one complaint with this skit is that it closes out kind of weakly because of that. But overall, I liked this one. I feel like I've seen the movie and I never have to watch it now. And I totally did that to see if Don would react. Overall, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. Thomas, what did you think?
Well, I feel the way you felt about the Split sketch, where like it's good because it only took 6 minutes. Like I didn't have to sit through a 2-hour piece of shit movie. They got it done, and they made it happen in a short amount of time. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like as somebody who disliked that movie so much, I enjoyed watching them make fun of it, and I enjoyed how crazy it got with like the fucking Infinity Gauntlet. I thought it was like the right amount of strange, and I loved having Kang around for an entire like sketch again. It was great.
I do love that he's the one who's pregnant.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
Oh, Thomas.
You know what? I don't want to like turn this into a Shape of Water episode, so we can save that for
when we have a Shape of Water episode.
I don't like any like Guillermo del Toro movies, so it didn't help that he made this, and I was just like, this is just the same shit over and over. That's how I feel. What did you like about it? What if you were selling that movie? If somebody was like, "What should I watch tonight?" and you had 30 seconds to pitch them Shape of Water, what would you say?
I would say Shape of Water is a good creature feature that is actually explaining to you that American society itself is the monster, and it rejects things that it does not see as fitting the norm.
You still have some time left. You can keep going.
Oh, so there's a really good analysis of race, about abilities, about sexual orientation, about
fear of being alone.
Well, yeah, but I've told you that before.
I know, that's where I got it. I haven't seen it, and your time's up.
So like,
if you're afraid to be alone, this movie hits you very hard.
Wait, I want to get back to the race thing. So, are you saying that like this is because of the time that the period that this
no, I'm talking about Octavia Spencer's role.
Oh, I thought you were saying that like the forbidden romance between.
No. I mean, you could look at it that way, but it's everybody's looking for somebody or something to complete them. So you have the gay neighbor who's afraid to come out, like he's an artist and he just does not like who he is because society's telling him that he's wrong, right? Then you have, yeah. Oh, he goes to the restaurant, orders the key lime pie because there's a cute guy that works there, and he's afraid to talk to him because the only person that knows he's gay is his neighbor, and it's the 1960s, so he's not going to go up to this young guy and say, "Hey, I'm a gay guy, want to go out?" And the one time he talks to him,
is that how you think that gay people hit on each other?
No, that's how they do it. Like, I want to hold hands and exchange long protein strands with you.
Jesus Christ. But no, it's that, and the fact that Octavia Spencer's character is doesn't have a good home situation. Michael Shannon's family, it's like he's trying to do shit to fit into what is determined to be normal, or society's determined to be normal, right? And then you have the Soviets getting involved, where you have the Soviet scientists who are saying things like, no, we should learn about this thing, we shouldn't destroy it, and the Soviets are telling him, or his Soviet counterparts are telling him, like, no, we need to destroy this because if the Americans get it, they'll be, so far ahead of us with respect to science. And so he, being a scientist, being someone who's trying to understand this, feels alone because his own country he ends up getting killed, but he gets killed with the decision to not harm this thing. But anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a decent movie. It's a good movie. It's a movie that I wouldn't say I'd watch over and over again, but it's definitely a movie I've assigned to my students to watch just to talk about the 1960s and about the Cold War. There's some good shit in there.
Didn't they get like blasted for plagiarism?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible. It seems like everybody does.
No, but like the idea of that, like deaf. No, she wasn't deaf. Just the mute woman and the creature getting together was like a 2015 short film or something like that, and Guillermo del Toro just ripped it off completely, and they had to go through like a whole legal process, and there was like payoffs involved, and it wouldn't have gotten that far had he not won so many awards for it. For what it's worth, I'm glad it was made because I enjoyed this Treehouse of Horror sketch.
See, there you go. You wouldn't have it if the movie hadn't been made. Still not as bad as Coraline, though.
We at least agree at that at least it wasn't Coraline.
This concludes another episode of the Necron with James Sabata, Don Gillies,